BFM 부산 영어방송.
Beach.
Oh yeah!
Camping.
Oh yeah!
Swimming.
Oh yeah!
Summer is awesome.
Mosquitoes,
Oh no.
tropical nights,
Oh no.
food poisoning.
Oh no.
Summer is awful.
But you know, you can always prevent food poisoning.
Oh, really?
Of course. I'll tell you. Follow me, okay? First, wash your hands, utensils, and food surfaces often. Second, cook and store your food at safe temperatures and always use clean water. Third, defrost food safely. The best way to do it is in the refrigerator. Fourth, keep raw food separate from ready-to-eat food to prevent cross-contamination. Last but not least, always remember that eating safely is the best way to enjoy your meal. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM, Busan 영어방송.
During the span of 1,023 days, from August 18, 1950, 2 months after the Korean War had begun, until August 15, 1953, when the Korean government was re-established in Seoul, the city of Busan had served as the provisional capital. The president and government officials, soldiers and civilians had all made their way down to Busan to avoid the war. A city of 400,000 quickly turned into a city of 1 million. Since then, 8 places, which include the Provisional Government Building, the Busan Modern History Museum, and the UN Memorial Park, have been listed as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. In 2025, the list of World Heritage Sites will be finalized by UNESCO. Korea, one of the last remaining divided countries in the world, and the city of Busan, once the provisional capital, still value and send out that same message of peace. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM, Busan 영어방송.
The time is now 2 o'clock.
Welcome to BFM News at 2. I'm David Kim. According to the Bank of Korea, household loans from South Korean banks rose for the 4th consecutive month in July, driven by continued growth in mortgage lending. The total household loans reached 1,120.8 trillion won by the end of July, increasing by 5.5 trillion won from the previous month. However, the growth slowed slightly compared to June. While home-backed loans grew by 5.6 trillion won, unsecured loans decreased by 0.1 trillion won. Policymakers remained concerned about the rising household debt amid high borrowing costs. The South Korean government announced a pilot program to issue E7 work visas to 300 foreign workers annually to address labor shortages in power transmission line construction. The 2-year program aims to fill critical workforce gaps in the industry, which is struggling to recruit due to the dangerous working conditions. The initiative is part of broader efforts to support the electricity infrastructure amid growing demand driven by semiconductor and electric vehicle industries. In local news, the Busan Economic Promotion Agency said today that it is looking for small and medium-sized enterprises or SMEs to participate in the 2024 SME ISO Certification Support Program until September the 30th. A total of 50 SMEs will be selected to receive a 30 to 40% discount on the costs of obtaining ISO 9001 Quality Management System or ISO 14001 Environmental Management System or ISO 45001 Occupational Health and Safety Management System certifications. Interested companies can download the application form from the Busan Economic Promotion Agency website and submit it via email. The Busan International Film Festival BIF Organizing Committee revealed the official poster for the 29th Busan International Film Festival and the 19th Asian Content and Film Market on the 12th today. This year's poster, designed by BIF art director Choi Sun-dae, features waves rising energetically from the sea of films, symbolizing the diverse films with unique stories presented at the festival. The vibrant red tones of the poster capture the dynamic spirit of Asia's largest film festival. The poster for the 19th Asian Contents and Film Market shares the same design but with an orange color scheme. Japan's Star Dream, a 22,000-ton cruise ferry operating between Busan and Osaka, will transform into a moving exhibition space for the 2024 Busan Biennale. From August the 17th until October the 20th, the cruise will showcase works by 4 artists or teams. The artworks will be displayed in various locations aboard the ship, such as the lounge, lobby, and main staircase, allowing passengers to enjoy them at their leisure. Additionally, video art will be shown on the large screen in the ship's main restaurant. In international news, thousands of residents are being evacuated from their homes as a massive wildfire continues to burn north of Athens, with flames reaching up to 25 meters high. Emergency services are moving residents to safety from areas including the historic site of Marathon. In this nearby town of Varnavas, houses and properties are reported to be on fire, according to the fire brigade. Firefighters are also rescuing people trapped by the flames in a convoy of 20 to 25 vehicles attempting to flee the area. And now taking a quick look at the weather here, Busan is currently under a heat wave advisory with the mercury reading 31 degrees Celsius. Infants, the elderly, and people with chronic illnesses are advised against going out, especially during the hottest hours of 2 to 5 p.m. And that'll have to do it for this hour's news. Thank you for joining us. You're listening to BEFM Busan 영어방송.
Your best choice. BEFM Busan 영어방송.
Coming up next is 2 p.m. Reboot with Casey McKeever. BEFM Busan 영어방송.
Everyone has a different personality, so even though we may say we understand each other, disagreements are oftentimes inevitable. There are probably many people who agree with this. There are times when they're perfectly compatible, but this is extremely rare, and eventually we have to concede and really try to understand each other. Today we will talk about how to stop the cycle of fighting in a relationship. It's Monday, August the 12th, 2024. My name is Nick. This is 2 p.m. Reboot. Let's get it started. That was Blinding Lights by The Weeknd. What a song. And it's a great song, not for the reasons you might think. I'll tell you why I love that song. Have you ever... I know it's not very popular, but you know those VR goggles, virtual reality goggles, right, that you put on, and there's one game that you can play where you hold two swords, like lightsabers, and you have to smash the boxes to the music. I used to play that game a lot, and I used to listen to Blinding Lights and, do it to the beat, and it became one of my favorite songs, and it's a really fun game. If you've never tried it, I recommend a bit of virtual reality to this music. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, this up-tempo electropop track finds The Weeknd recounting how his lover lights up his life. Now, on the Billboard Hot 100, dated March the 13th, 2021, Blinding Lights stayed in the top 10 for the 52nd consecutive week. This ensured that it became the first song in the chart's history to spend a whole year in that region on the survey. Now, The Weeknd gave a little insight into what its hit is about. He said, Blinding Lights is about how you want to see someone at night, and you're intoxicated, and you're driving to this person in your car, and you're just blinded by the streetlights. But nothing can stop you from trying to go to see that person because you're so lonely. I don't want to ever promote drunk driving, but that's what the dark undertone is. I never knew that before. It's, I guess, maybe it's nighttime. You really want to see your loved person, your loved one, so you go and see them. And like he said, never drink and drive. But still, it's an interesting song, quite a romantic sentiment behind it, I think. Anyway, everyone, welcome. You're live in the studio in Busan this Monday afternoon. Welcome to the program. You're listening to us on BEFM 90.5 in Busan and 103.3 FM in the Gijang, Dongguan and Noksan areas. I'm your host, Nick. You can also listen to us on Seoul, TBS EFM 101.3 FM and GGN Gwangju 98.7 FM. The show is being now streamed on YouTube. I was going to say LiveTube. On YouTube Live. Just go to youtube.com and search for BEFM Busan영어방송. Unfortunately, due to music copyright issues, you can't listen to the music on YouTube, but the music will be muted while the songs are playing. But if you really want to listen to the music, and I totally recommend that you do, you can switch on the FM radio to 90.5 if you're in Busan, or download the smartphone app. I know it's not convenient, but it's the best we can do right now, so hopefully it will be fixed. I'm going to let you know what's coming up on today's show. In hour one, we have Hot Off the Press. You can check out the newest, hottest tracks from the world of music. After that, we have Need to Know, where Chris brings us under-the-radar stories from outside mainstream media, but still, and nonetheless, very, very important. And then in hour two, from 3 p.m, we have Daily List. There's a list for everything, and we're going to find them all. Daily List covers all the lists, from the best of to the worst of. And today's topic is how to stop the cycle of fighting in a relationship. I know I speak for myself. I probably speak for a lot of people. This could be very, very useful. We all argue, we all fight. And when you get into that cycle, 그런 악순환이 있죠. You just can't get out of it. And following that is Me, Myself and I, where I share stories about us human beings and why we think or behave the way we do. Today's question is, are married people happier than those who are not? Very interesting. Could be controversial question. Following that is Perfect Playlist, where we pick the best songs for every situation. And I'll be checking your messages throughout the show, of course. We've got loads of messages coming in, which is great to see. We have Soinim on YouTube Live saying, Hi Nick, did you have a good weekend? Hello Soinim, my friend. I had a very nice weekend. Yesterday, I went to Gimhae. Do you know Dongsanshijang? It's like, I don't know, the international community in Busan, in Gimhae area. There's loads of foreign food. So yesterday, I had Uzbekistan food and Turkish food. So I had a really nice kebab in a Turkish restaurant. And then I went to an Uzbekistan restaurant later, and I had one of those meat, like pastries. 너무 맛있었어요. If you've never tried Uzbek food or Turkish food, 완전 강추입니다. You got to try it. Really good. But thank you. How was your weekend anyway? I hope you had a wonderful weekend. 절단 TV, welcome to the show as well. 최승님 as well, saying, hello, hope you had a good time during the weekend. I did. Did you? I hope the Pohang weather was nice. Busan was pretty nice. I hope Pohang was also lovely too. 미역셀리님, hello. Saying, 오늘도 닉 목소리 들을 수 있어서 좋아요. 저는 싱가포르 여행 재미있게 하고 왔답니다. 날씨는 한국보다 더 시원했고 chili crab도 맛있었어요. Wow. And then you sent a picture. The 야경. Oh wow, Singapore is beautiful. She sent a picture of those famous 3 buildings, that are connected, and it looks really cool at nighttime. I'm really glad you had a good time. Chili crab was good. Was it expensive? Because I really want to eat it, but I hear it's like a delicacy. Nonetheless, I'm very happy that you had a good time. Welcome back to Korea. Get ready for normal life again. We have 장백기님 as well saying 안녕하세요. 지난주에 오고 다시 왔어요. Welcome back, my friend. And saying 우즈베키스탄 음식 먹어보고 싶어요. Yeah, totally. It's the way I go to get it is usually in Kimhae. It's a bit of a drive, like 40 minutes to an hour drive, but it's worth it. And there's loads of different food you can try there. So if you want to have a 국내 국제 여행, you can go to Kimhae area, 동상시장, and try out the food there. Anyway, I'm diverging. Keep messaging in. I'm going to give you another reason to message in by letting you know our text topic. The question is, which one would you choose if you get a marriage proposal after 3 months of a relationship, and why? Would you, number 1, get married and live happier? Or number 2, marriage is too fast, so tell your partner, let's date for at least a year first. So would you rather get married quickly or wait to get married? 네, 질문입니다. 3개월 만나고 청혼을 받은 상황에서 어떤 것을 선택할 것이고 그 이유는 무엇인가요? 1번, 결혼하고 더 행복하게 산다. 2번, 아직은 결혼은 빠르니 최소한 1년은 좀 만나보자고 말한다. Which would you do? Which would you do? I know it could be culture difference. It could be individual differences. I don't want to speak from personal experience. I'm married. I dated for about a year to a year and a half with my wife before we married. But, in the past when I was young, dated for several years with no marriage. So, yeah, it's 사봤사, 케바케. It's whatever you choose to do. No right or wrong answers. What would you do? So would you get married quickly or would you wait? Send your answers into pound 9050 샵 9050, which will cost you 101. Kakao message to BEFM or 부산영어방송 in Korean. You can also download the smartphone app. Just search for the same things. Lots of ways to get involved as well. We have 소대가리. Hello there, my friend. saying 와봤습니다. Well done. saying 한국말도 잘하시네요. 아닙니다. 감사합니다. It's good to see you, my friend. It's your first time here, right? I think it is. If I forgot you, then I'm terribly sorry. But welcome to the show. Choi Sung-nim saying, it's like fall has come to my region. So Pohang is a little bit cooler. I'm jealous because Busan is still very hot. I can't imagine how Daegu and Seoul are feeling right now. And related to the heat, I do want to remind you that currently a heat wave warning is in effect in most parts of the country. Avoid outdoor activities as much as possible. When going out, wear light clothing, a wide-brimmed hat, and carry a water bottle. At construction sites, strictly adhere to heat safety rules such as water, shade, rest, and actively implement the heat wave break time system during the hottest hours. Thoroughly prepare for the heat waves, such as drinking enough water and having a short break. And if you have symptoms such as dizziness, nausea, or headaches, use a cool place to rest. We're going to be right back with Hot Off the Press after this song. This is All Night by Loco Boy. Oh, no, we're not going to listen to that song. We're going to go straight into something else, aren't we? Our producer's looking for the song. I was thinking, that's a really long pause right there. Ready? Okay, let's listen to the song.
Let's do this one sec.
just listened to All Night by Loco Boy. Now it is time for Hot Off the Press. Now, from Monday to Friday, we bring the two newest, hottest tracks from the world of music. As you know, a lot of music is released every single week, constantly. So we're going to try and, funnel, streamline. We're just going to get you the two ones that we feel are worth your attention and play them for you. It's a great way to stay up to date with the latest tunes, the latest tracks in the world of music, especially if you're like me and are kind of behind on the times. So our first song is going to be Bright Lights by The Killers. Wow. I used to listen to back in my day, I used to listen to The Killers a lot, and they're still releasing music, which is great. Now, The Killers have been reflecting lately. The band released a greatest hits album last year and celebrated their 20-year anniversary of Hot Fuss in June. Now they're sharing an ode to their hometown of Las Vegas with their new single, Bright Lights. The Killers will play their classic 2004 debut album Hot Fuss in full over 10 nights at the Coliseum at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, starting on August the 14th and wrapping up on September the 1st. Our second song is by Katy Perry, Lifetimes. Katy Perry is back with this song Lifetimes, the second offering from her upcoming album 143. The house-inflected track is dedicated to her daughter Daisy, with Perry singing, I know you can feel it, or I know you feel it, can you believe it? I'm gonna love you till the end, and then repeat it. In the video, Perry parties it up in Barcelona, where she first debuted Lifetimes in July. She's hoping it can bring that pulse to her own beat back to 143 after the collapse of the lead single, Woman's World. So these are two very familiar artists, maybe for people in their late 20s and 30s, very familiar artists, but still releasing music, so it's a great opportunity to go back and relive some of your favorites. We're going to listen to Bright Lights by The Killers and Lifetimes by Katy Perry. And we just listened to two songs, Bright Lights by The Killers and Lifetimes by Katy Perry. Welcome back. You are listening to 2 p.m. Reboot. I'm your host, Nick. And we've got some messages coming in about our text topic. I'll read some ones that we have here first. We have, I've been told to call you 소머리님, saying, I'm enjoying it in Daegu. And, you know, I've been to Daegu a few times. And I really like it. I love there's lots of like old LP stores and like antique stores, which I like in Daegu. But the weather is too hot in the summer. You know, everyone calls it Teprika, right? Because it's just insanely hot. Is the weather really hot right now? I hope you're, I hope you're surviving right now as well. 절단 TV님 saying, this is fun. I'll come often and your voice is so nice. 아이고, 감사합니다. Please come and hang out with us. Send us loads of messages and get involved. It's good to create this kind of community discussion. Also, 미역스텔리님 telling us about the prices in Singapore because I asked if the chili crab is expensive. 미역스텔리님, she just went on vacation to Singapore recently, saying 싱가포르 물가가 비싼 편이에요. 술이 정말 비싸요. 같은 음식도 식당에 가서 먹으면 훨씬 비싸고 야외 푸드트럭에서 먹으면 저렴해요. That's good advice. So if you go to Singapore and you're on a budget, go to food trucks, which I prefer anyway. I don't like going to fancy restaurants. Maybe because I'm cheap, but I prefer eating outside, kind of gritty, dirty, not necessarily dirty, but kind of rustic feel about it. It sounds like you had an amazing time, though. Singapore is definitely on my list. All right, so it's a question of the day, the text topic. I'll remind you of the question one more time. Which one would you choose out of if you got a marriage proposal after 3 months of being in a relationship? Number 1, get married quickly and be happy. Number 2, 3 months is too fast. Let's date for at least a year. 네, 오늘의 텍스트 토픽입니다. 3개월 만나고 청혼을 받은 상황에서 어떤 것을 선택할 것이고 그 이유는 무엇인가요? 1번, 결혼하고 더 행복하게 산다. 아니면 2번, 아직은 결혼은 빠르니 최소한 1년은 만나보자고 말한다. Which would you do? There's a lot of different opinions. Let's have a look. 최승님 says, oh my, 3 months? Oh, it's very hasty to get married. I think at least 2 years is needed to decide. Yeah, I feel like 2 years might be like an average. Not necessarily the right thing to do, but it seems like a lot of people maybe wait between 1 and 3, 4 years. 2 years, in my mind, seems like a decent waiting period to kind of vet the other person, right? We also have 4625번님 with a message saying 3년 넘게 만난 사람과 이별하고 6개월 만난 사람과 상견례하고 만난 지 1년 만에 결혼했어요. 와우. 정해진 인연은 따로 있는 것 같아요. 3개월이든 3년이든 시간은 중요하지 않은 것 같아요. 되게 좋은 말씀이신 것 같아요. So basically, it doesn't matter about the time, whether it's 3 months or 3 years. Time is not important because you could date someone like them for 3, 4, 5 years and then break up, but then with someone else you just click, right? And you get married quickly and live happily ever after. I do like that. Tell me your opinions. What do you think personally about this situation? There's no right or wrong answer. 맞다, 틀렸다 이런 건 없고요. Just your opinions. Send them to pound 9050, 샵 9050, should cost you 101. You can send a KakaoTalk message to BFM or 부산영어방송. Also search the smartphone app for the same stuff and communicate with us through there. All right, coming up next, we do have a segment. We've got Chris coming in for Need to Know. We'll be right back. It is now time for Need to Know, the segment that looks at recent news that you might have missed out on, but you definitely shouldn't. And we have Chris in the studio. Hello.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm very good. Oh, I was talking to you off the microphone, but on the microphone, you've got this almost James L. Jones kind of level to you.
I think it's just the good quality of the microphone, just picking up the bass sound
마이크를
of
좀
it.
바꾸자. Let's just change mics. I want that microphone. It's great to have you here, man. You've been well?
Yeah, doing pretty good. Trying to stay out of the heat and stay cool.
For sure. Well, to kind of break the heat, I don't know. I'm just going to ask you a question. Today's text topic, I know I asked you in advance, but what would you choose if you were dating someone and then they suggested, let's get married, but it's only been 3 months. Would you, number one, say, okay, sure, let's get married now and live happily ever after? Or number two, go like, whoa, slow down, let's date for a year.
Ooh, I guess it would really depend on the person. I did have a coworker, a teacher who'd been teaching for like 30 years and had been married twice. His first one, he'd dated her for like a year and was engaged for 2 years. They got married, and within like a year, she'd left and taken everything.
Yeah.
And then he met his second wife, dated for 2 weeks, and then got married and were happy together 30 years plus.
Wow.
So
they dated for 2 weeks, then got married.
Yeah, 2 weeks, got married.
But his previous partner was 3 years, you said?
3 years.
And nothing.
Then and a year after a year.
That's kind of like 4625 one.
Yeah.
They said, they dated someone for 3 years, didn't end well, but then they met someone for 6 months, had the parental meeting, and then got married.
Yeah, so it really depends on the person. I think the best advice I got from my father was wait at least 6 months, because that way it takes the hormonal goggles off you.
Yes.
So like that way, that first, 6 months, you can't really see the person's flaws, or like you overlook them. So at least it lets you see them.
It's the love drug. It's just kind of bubbling inside you. Yeah. They can do no wrong in your eyes.
For that first 6 months. And then after that, those little things start to really show themselves as being annoyances or perfectly fine things that you can deal with.
It's good advice.
Yeah.
Good advice. All right. Well, that was really interesting to hear. We're on for Need to Know. Need to Know, and this is a segment about finding the kind of non-reported news, right? The underdogs of the news stories.
The underdogs of the news stories. Well, so I've got a question for you. Are you a spicy food lover?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, what's your go-to, like, spicy food?
Korea is full of spicy food, but as a Brit, my personal favorite is a good old vindaloo.
Vindaloo.
Curry. Indo curry죠.
Nice. Well, millions of people around the world love spicy food. In fact, it's become a trend to put more and more heat into food. In fact, it seems like some people just can't get enough of it. There are even food challenges where people try and eat the spiciest foods they can. But the question is, and really has become, how spicy is too spicy?
Okay.
Now, Danish regulators have allowed some previously banned Korean ramen. You may have noticed a news story. Back in June, Danish regulators pulled 3 varieties of Bulldog brand ramen off the shelves because of the capsaicin that the noodles had, and they allowed 2 of them back on the shelves.
Right. I read that story, and a lot of people were saying, they just can't handle their spice. But it's not just about being too spicy. It's their regulation, their 식약청, I guess, determined that the levels of capsaicin could be dangerous.
Yeah. So if you're looking at like the heat, we're looking at a lot of times they give it a number called the Scoville unit.
Right.
Now, if you're not familiar with the scale, it's a way of measuring how hot something feels. Now, it was created back in 1912 by Wilbur Scoville, who extracted capsaicin from dried peppers and tested how much sugar water was needed before the taste no longer could be detected as heat. The heat level was rated in multiples of 100 Scoville heat units, or SHUs, with your garden variety jalapeno being between 2,500 and 8,000 SHUs. A habanero comes in at about 100,000 to 350,000.
Okay,
with just pure capsaicin, they've extracted nothing else in it, topping the scale at 15 million SHUs.
It sounds like we're talking about like levels of radiation or something.
Yeah, and that's the way they rate how much heat is in it. The brands that were pulled in Denmark have around 13,000, which isn't particularly hot.
Yeah. Okay. But, Europeans are infamously famous for not being good with spicy food. Right?
Well, it's not necessarily the Scoville. Like the Scoville scale itself is simple.
Yeah.
It gets a bit more complicated, is that the Scoville scale doesn't tell you how much capsaicin is actually in the food, just how hot it feels. So if you eat a jalapeno, it gives you about 5 milligrams of capsaicin, whereas the jalapeno jalapeno gives you about 169 milligrams. But the brands of ramen that were in question delivers about 314 milligrams because it's about the concentration of capsaicin.
I years ago, don't quote me, but I read a story on one of the big news outlets of a man. Before he went to bed, he ate like a bowl full of I think habaneros, just a bowl full of them because he was very good at tolerating spice flavor-wise, and he passed away because I guess his body couldn't handle it or something.
Well, that is a concern, but really that's mostly an urban legend. Scientists have they've done animal studies and have gotten into the lethal dose range in animals, but fortunately the number is incredibly high, and we haven't had any food that have reached that. Unfortunately, if you do have a pre-existing health condition, such as a 14-year-old teen who had a heart attack from doing the one-chip challenge, but this teen had a congenital heart defect. So as long as you're a healthy adult, most foods aren't going to cause any problems.
So if it's dangerous, why is it back on the shelves?
Well, it was pulled because of the advertised SHU rating on the company's website. However, when the government tested it, they found that the two of the three varieties didn't have as much capsaicin as they claimed.
Oh, okay.
So it fell below the threshold for the critical capsaicin levels.
So I guess they just kind of wanted to say, hey, look, we're super spicy. Can you handle it? And it's not that spicy.
Not as spicy as they advertised.
Well, I bet many Danes are glad to have it back.
Yeah. Well, many were. The brand of Korean ramen is very popular, not just here in Korea, but also around the world. And to celebrate the return of these two varieties, the company held an event where they fed the noodle to social media influencers on a yacht in Copenhagen's harbor.
Oh, wow.
And one person who loved the noodles so much said that when they heard that it was banned, they went out and bought 50 packs.
Oh.
So that now he has... he said he has a nice deposit so that he can look toward it in the future.
So, I'm glad they're happy it's back, but what if somebody does eat something, they're eating it, and then they realize, oh no, 망했다, 너무 매워. What can they do? What helps ease the burn?
Well, capsaicin is a fat-soluble molecule, and scientists have some tips for this. If you do want to get rid of the burn fast, eat or drink something that has a very creamy flavor. So something like milk or ice cream, probably the best thing would be like a milkshake, something that is both high in fat content and sugar content to help neutralize it. And the coolness of like a milkshake helps cool the mouth physically as well as dissipating some of that capsaicin. The worst things are anything alcohol-based like mouthwash or vodka. Don't do that.
Mouthwash is kind of spicy in a minty way anyway, so adding to that capsaicin spice would be terrible. Yeah, I totally advocate for milk. If I eat something super spicy, I try to drink milk as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes pre-drink it, line the stomach. I don't know if that works, but it's an old wives' tale. So
help prevent the burn before it gets there.
Exactly. We're going to take a quick break and then we will be back for the second part. This is Don't Call Me Up by Mabel.
When I'm underneath the so don't call me up.
That was Don't Call Me Up by Mabel. Welcoming you back to 2 p.m. Reboot. We're in the middle of our segment Need to Know with Chris here, bringing us some underdog tales in the news. We just went over a story about the Korean spicy ramyeon in Denmark. And now, what do we got coming up?
Well, have you ever used a 3D printer?
I've never used one, but I really would like to.
Yeah, they're pretty interesting little devices.
Yeah.
They're actually known as additive manufacturing. They're a lot less wasteful than traditional manufacturing and can do a lot of small-scale production of things and still be profitable.
Yeah.
But most of the 3D printers are good for only making small items, think something no bigger than a toaster.
Well, I mean, to make a toaster and then... Oh, I guess it doesn't make the electronics.
Doesn't make the electronics part of the toaster. It just makes something as big as a toaster.
But still, that's crazy.
But there are a few that are bigger.
Okay. How big are we talking?
Well, some of them can get pretty big. In fact, there's one that's about 14 meters wide, weighs about 4.75 tons, about 5 tons, and has been tested to create 3D printed residential houses.
So we're building houses now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Using 3D printing technology. Wow. And this is happening in Georgetown, Texas, which is about 50 kilometers from Austin, Texas. Mm-hmm. A robot printer from the Icon company is finishing up the last few of 100 3D printed houses.
Wow. So... I mean, there's a lot that goes into making a house, right? Like with the toaster.
Yeah, there are lots of things there. And it is true that the printer can't do every part of the house. But the parts that it can do helps to reduce the construction time, requires fewer workers, and minimizes construction material waste while also being less expensive. The company says that what would take 5 different crews can be done with 1 crew and a robot.
Well, that's mixed feelings on that.
Yeah.
You know, with the whole... But how does it work?
Well, the concept is basically very simple. Concrete is used to make the walls. It's a cement mixture, cement powder, water, sand, and other additives to make a thick concrete that can be squeezed out of a nozzle. Think squeezing toothpaste onto a toothbrush.
If you're looking at YouTube Live right now, there are some pictures here of, I guess, 3D printed houses. They're kind of reminiscent of, mini homes.
Yeah.
The small homes that are kind of the trend.
Well, some of them can get pretty big. But in the process, the nozzle follows a pre-programmed path going around and around and around until it's finished. And if you look at the pictures, you can see that it creates a corduroy effect, kind of stripes effect on the wall. But this can be covered up if the homeowner doesn't like the look.
And I guess the benefit is you can kind of customize it easily. Manufacturing might be kind of quick.
Yeah. For a 1-story, 3 to 4 bedroom house, it takes about 3 weeks. And this is compared to a month to a month and a half for a traditionally built site home. Everything else, the foundation, the roof, are installed using people. For this, the community is using metal roofs.
So what are the benefits to making buildings, using this over wood-framed houses, using cement?
Yeah, well, since most Koreans know the benefits of a cement house, most of the houses here are cement, and it does have a number of benefits. They're water resistant, they don't succumb to mold or termite damage, and are stronger against extreme weather, which unfortunately is becoming more common. They're also somewhat better for the environment in the long run, with higher energy savings costs. And significantly longer life expectancy. Now, the drawbacks is that they're heavier, take longer to build, and use more labor, and because of that are more expensive to build. Now, the 3D printer helps fix some of these problems.
What about residences' opinion? What do they feel about these houses?
Well, a lot of the residents like it. Texas is known for its heat, so keeping cool is an issue. And the owners are able to stay cool without running the air conditioner at full blast like they would have had to in a traditional house. The only problems they've had are getting reliable Wi-Fi signal throughout the home because concrete blocks some of those signals. And but there are solutions for that, and the homeowners are happy for the trade-off.
Yeah. I switched over to a 5G Wi-Fi network and it wouldn't go through concrete, so I had to stick with 2.4 gigahertz, which is better at going through concrete walls.
Yeah.
So how much do these homes cost?
Oh, currently homes in this neighborhood start around $450,000 and go as much as $600,000, which is actually a pretty good deal for the area. The company printed its first home in Austin in 2018 and hopes to use its technology to build structures on the moon as part of NASA's Artemis moon exploration program. So there's a bright future for this company.
That's amazing. And actually, I was just on the old internet the other day, and one of the big, I guess, aerospace companies in the US, they released, I guess, like a prototype or some kind of video blueprint showcasing that how they're going to build bases on the moon, and they're using lightweight materials, and 3D printed materials will most likely be the way. It seems. Yeah,
especially because the ability to make the precision molding of this. I've seen this in action on the social media sites, the video sites, and it's pretty interesting how quickly they can go up and how precise they can make a building.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. You know, I would honestly myself, I've considered living in one of these smaller homes. You know, I live in an apartment right now.
Yeah,
and it's great. You know, the benefits are it's safe. If something goes wrong, you know, you've got the 경비 아저씨, and all of the people will come and help you. But if you don't live in this structure, I hear it's way more difficult to get assistance, you know, because, you know, infrastructure is just designed around these houses.
Yeah.
Are you in an apartment or like this kind of?
Yeah, I'm in that type of structured building, and it would be nice to live in a single house because of just mostly because of the upstairs neighbors' noise. Had a baby. Move on upstairs.
Congratulations, my friend.
Not my baby.
I know, but congratulations on the new noise.
Yes. But that would be the only real benefit of moving out into a single house.
I do wonder if in the future, you know, apartment blocks can be manufactured by 3D buildings, and if they would have any benefits when it comes to 층간소음 or any benefits to structure and things like that. As of now, I doubt it. But who knows?
Who knows what will happen in the future?
For sure. Chris, thank you very much for bringing us this segment, Need to Know. This will be our last time together, I believe, so it was a pleasure, and hopefully we see each other in the future.
Yes, hopefully.
All right, everyone, the time is now just coming up to 2:54 in the afternoon. We've got to wrap things up for the first half, but don't go anywhere, because in the second half, we've got lots of stuff coming your way, including Daily List, Me, Myself and I, and Perfect Playlist. We're going to listen to Afraid to Feel by LF System, and we'll be right back.
Oh, you see the flame.
BFM 부산 영어방송.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전 기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다. 부산영어방송과 함께하는 제2회 중구청장배 청소년 영어 말하기 대회. 나의 롤모델을 소개합니다. We all need someone who inspires us to do better than we know how. We envision our dreams and live by striving to achieve them. Along the way, we discover our role models we aspire to follow. How about you? Do you have your own role model? 글로벌 허브 도시 부산에 살고 있는 아이들이 꿈꾸는 롤모델은 어떤 모습일까요? We can look at the dreams of Busan's local youth and find out how they dream about their role model in the speech contest. 9월 7일 토요일 오전 11시 부산 영화체험박물관에서 펼쳐질 청소년 영어 말하기 대회에서 부산 지역 꿈나무들이 꿈꾸는 미래의 모습을 확인해보세요. 제2회 중구청장배 청소년 영어 말하기 대회는 중구 진로교육지원센터와 BFM 부산영어방송이 함께합니다.
The time is now 3 o'clock.
You just listened to Lust for Life by Iggy Pop. Now, the title is taken from the 1956 film of the same name, which itself is an adaptation of Irving Stone's 1934 biographical novel about the Dutch painter Vincent van Gogh. The song was re-released as a single in 1996, featuring on the soundtrack for the British film Trainspotting. While the song didn't chart when it was first released, this reissue reached number 26 in the UK, and this success might explain the subsequent release in 1998 of The Passenger, another song from the same album, which made number 22 in the UK. And I love this song, and there's a song that I really like that kind of used the same beat. I think it was Jet, Are You Gonna Be My Girl? Kind of used the same beat. Upbeat, very happy song. A great British song. You're live in the studio in Busan on this Monday afternoon. Welcome to the program. You're listening to us on BEFM 90.5 in Busan and 103.3 FM in the Gijang, Jeongwan and Noksan areas. I'm your host, Nick, and this show is also airing in Seoul, TBS EFM 101.3 FM and GGN Gwangju 98.7 FM. Soinim saying, 오늘 선곡도 최고네요. I agree. Our producer is always on the ball with the great songs. I usually, when I do other shows, when the music's playing, I'm kind of focused on something. But in this show, I actually like listening to most of the music here, so I'm pretty happy with it as well. Lots of people liking the music here, which is great. I'm going to let you know what's coming up in hour 2 of this show. We've got Daily List. There is a list for everything, and we're going to find them all. Daily List covers all of the lists, from the best of to the worst of. And today's topic is how to stop the cycle of fighting in a relationship. Some serious stuff, right? Then following that is Me, Myself and I, where I share stories about us as human beings and why we think or behave the way we do. Today's question is, are married people happier than those who are not? Big question. And then Perfect Playlist, where we pick the best songs for every situation. And of course, I'll be checking your messages throughout the show. I'm going to read a message here. We have 1061번님 sending a message for the first time. 오늘 문자를 처음 보내주셨는데요. 반갑습니다. Saying, 안녕하세요. 금요일 날 방송 처음 들었는데 당연히 한국 분인 줄 알았어요. 편안한 진행에 계속 열심히 들을 것 같습니다. 감사합니다. 아이고, 마음. Thank you so much. I love nice messages like this. 정말 감사합니다. Thank you for your lovely message and welcome to the show. I hope you continue to listen and you have a wonderful day as well. Today's question of the day, text topic is, which one would you choose if somebody offered a marriage proposal after you've just been dating for 3 months? Would you, number 1, get married and live happily ever after, straight away, after 3 months of dating? Or number 2, 3 months is a bit fast. How about we date for at least a year and then maybe get married? 네, 오늘의 텍스트 토픽입니다. 3개월 만나고 청혼을 받은 상황에서 어떤 것을 선택할 것이고 그 이유는 무엇인가요? 1번, 결혼하고 더 행복하게 산다. 아니면 2번, 아직은 결혼은 빠르니 최소한 1년은 만나보자고 말한다. Which would you choose? We have Soinim with their opinion saying, 정답은 없지만 제 주위 사람들 생각해보면 오히려 오래 만난 커플은 결혼까지 가기 힘들고 만난 지 얼마 안 된 커플이 결혼해서 정말 잘 사는 경우가 많은 것 같아요. 인연은 따로 있나 봐요. Yeah, it seems that way. It's when we had Chris in the studio saying his friend had a similar thing. 4625번님 saying a similar thing as well. It seems that couples who may live together or they date for a long time, they don't get married as often as a couple who just date for a short period of time. Who knows why? Maybe if you date for a long time, you start to see the person's 결점들, right? You start to see their flaws. Maybe if you're dating for 2 years, you're like, 왜 계속 그렇게 하지? Why do they keep sucking their thumb? I don't know. Why do they do this annoying habit? And then you kind of think, let's break up. 결혼하기 전까지. You're like, let's just break up. Or maybe you feel like, what is it, 권태기? Maybe you feel bored and you just want to move on. I guess getting married quickly kind of locks you in a good way. in an absolutely good way. But of course, it's all personal preference. No right or wrong answer. Keep sending your messages into pound 9050, sharp 9050, which will cost you 101. You can send to Kakao Talk, search for BEFM or Busan 영어방송 in Korean. Add us, send us messages for free. Also search the same thing on our smartphone app in any app store, BEFM or Busan 영어방송. And that way as well, you can listen to the music, which you can't do on YouTube, unfortunately. Either do that through the smartphone app or turn on the radio as well is a great way to get involved. Let's have a look here. We've got some more messages. We've got Neil님 saying, let's have a look. 3개월은 조금 바른 것 같고 최소한 6개월 정도는 보는 게 좋다고 생각합니다. 중요한 건 싸웠을 때 어떻게 해결하느냐죠. Yeah, I agree. Maybe 6 months seems like a good amount of time. And then, like you said, the important thing is how you resolve conflict. That's definitely true. Yeah. I mean, no one's perfect. Even I can be a bit of a baby in arguments. So I need to work on my conflict resolution skills. But the important thing is, I think, is how you grow. You can start off not very mature in it, but as you date and get married, you can grow in that regard. It's a very good point. I totally agree with you. Lee Kalinem as well messaging in saying, Nick's still here. It's like the gift that keeps on giving. Can't tell if it's sarcastic or not. Again, 점점점 있기 때문에 좀 비꼬아서 말하는 것 같은데요. I'll assume you're being genuine. I know you like me, Anna Gilnim, so thank you for your message as well. Right, what time is it? It's 3:11. In the afternoon. Wow, time goes so quickly. We're going to take a song break and then we'll be back with Daily List. This is Take Me Back by Foster the People. We just listened to Take Me Back by Foster the People, and now it is time for Daily List. There is a list for everything, and we're going to find them all. Today's topic is how to stop the cycle of fighting in a relationship. Now, who remembers when the honeymoon phase was filled with easy, thoughtful communication? You know, while it's normal to want to stay in that space, realistically, your relationship is bound to experience hardships, and a lot of them. Left unchecked, these hardships can lead to an ongoing cycle of arguing. However, you and your partner can learn how to stop the cycle of fighting in a relationship and get back to thriving and growing together. With over a decade of experience as a licensed psychotherapist, not me, of course, the person who made this, there is a curated list of core skills in communication that you can use to learn how to stop fighting in a relationship and argue in a healthy, beneficial way instead. This is all amalgamated and taken from an official psychotherapist. Not me. I did study psychology, but I didn't get a master's, and I've forgotten everything, so don't come to me for relationship advice. But I do have an expert's advice right here in front of me, which I'm going to let you know. And as you're listening, if you have any points, if you have any tips or advice of how you kind of stop arguing or resolve arguing conflicts, let me know, because I would love to hear your advice as well. All right, the first important step is to know your triggers. This is the first skill in your relationship toolbox that is necessary for preventing the cycle of fighting. Be aware of what gets on your nerves, but that's sometimes easier said than done, right? Since knowing your triggers takes some introspection and self-reflection. So start by taking a personal inventory and consider the following prompts. What bothers me the most? What situations or behaviors generate a negative response within myself? Pay attention to any previous patterns in previous fights you've had with your partner and explore what they may mean to you. For example, maybe you don't feel that the split in household chores, maybe you feel it's not fairly shared, and this may represent you feeling underappreciated or undervalued. Why is this so important? It helps to be able to communicate both what bothers you and why it bothers you, so that your partner can gain a deeper understanding of what your experience of a situation is. The more that we're aware of our triggers, the better that we can communicate to our partner. Everyone's triggers will be different. Maybe you kind of feel, you're being undervalued at home, or maybe it's the person's like 말투. Maybe they're kind of speaking a little bit harshly and you don't like that. Lots of things. So just be aware of that and then kindly bring it up to your partner if you feel it's an issue. Number 2, another piece of great advice is practice the pause, the pause, the stopping. Once you're able to get a sense of what your triggers are, the next step in learning how to stop fighting in a relationship is learning to pause. Take it slow. When you fight, there's that urge to say something. In heat of the moment, you might say something you regret, right? It's understandable, but it's wise to first ask yourself, will this be helpful or bring us closer to reconciliation? If the answer is no, then maybe you should not say it and, take some time before communicating what's on your mind, because you might regret it later. It might be like saying, I want to have this conversation with you, but right now I might regret what I'm going to say and I'm feeling triggered, so I need some time to to collect my thoughts before we continue. It is very difficult. When you're in the middle of an argument, you just want to say what's on your mind. It's the worst thing to do. The wisest thing to do is just to take a breath, take a pause, think a bit logically or in a mature way, and take a step back and come back to it later when you've cooled down, when you're not seeing red. And it's not easy. It takes practice to get into the habit of pausing. You can start by doing an emotional temperature check. You can rank how you're feeling in the moment on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being neutral or satisfied, and 10 being very angry or outraged. If anything above a 7, for example, indicates an inability to engage in a productive conversation, take some space to yourself if you find yourself at that level or above. Now, what should you do while you're practicing the pause? Anything that helps promote self-regulation. So make a list of calming activities you enjoy so that, you can refer back to them when you feel triggered. In the heat of the moment, it can be tough to remember our coping mechanisms. So it's definitely easier said than done. 말이 쉽죠. But I think if you're in the middle of an argument, just take a moment and think, let's get back to this later. No good will come of it now. Another good tip that is suggested is seeing your partner as a whole person. In the chaos of a fight, it's common to view your partner as a bad guy or a bad girl, but when we engage in all or nothing thinking, we're most likely to perpetuate the cycle of fighting. We get kind of hypocritical. You're thinking, I'm right, you're wrong, you need to back down. But this is 완전 틀렸거든요. You should not think like that. You need to practice seeing your partner as a whole person, which includes reminding yourself of the reasons why you chose them to be your partner. There's a good phrase written down here saying, when in doubt, zoom out. I like that. I've got more coming your way. We're going to take a quick song break, which is requested by Soinim. This is for you. Take It on the Run by REO Speedwagon.
Heard it from a friend who heard it from
That was Take It on the Run by REO Speedwagon, requested by Soinim. Thank you very much for that classic. I do love REO Speedwagon, bit of 80s They're 80s, right? Yeah, they're 80s. I do love that 80s vibe. Lots of classic ballads. Perfect for a Monday, right? Yeah, perfect for any day. Thank you for that. We are in the middle of daily lists where we're talking about ways to resolve arguments in a relationship. We've got some messages coming in. I'm going to touch upon them in just a moment. I'm going to give you our fourth tip that we have here, which is plan the tough talks. Now, while it may seem awkward and kind of formal to schedule time for serious chats, the practice can be beneficial. When we know that a hard conversation is coming, we'll likely feel less blindsided and therefore more receptive to hear what the other person has to say. So set up consistent meetings with your partner where you both come equipped with topics for discussion and also highlight what is working well within your relationship. And this allows both parties to communicate from a place of mutual understanding and kind of reduces that defensiveness. And it relates back to our second point, which is practice the pause, right? Take a moment, think about it, don't say anything in the heat of the moment, 홧김에, 함부로 말하지 말고 think about it, say something logical and compassionate, right? It relates back to that. These are some great tips, I believe, to help reduce any relationship arguments you may be having. Every couple must argue. I think I've met one couple in my life who says, we've never really had an argument. I find it hard to believe. Maybe there are couples like that, but it's very normal to argue. So don't feel like, you're a bad couple or your relationship is ruined because you're arguing. Happens all the time. We've got some messages coming in. We have Neil Nim saying 요즘 방송 보면 부부끼리 문제가 있는 경우 촬영된 영상을 보면 왜 그런지 이유가 쉽게 보이더라고요. Kind of evidence, show them evidence, right? 그래서 일단 갈등의 상황에서 벗어난 후에 좀 더 멀리서 여유 있게 바라보는 연습을 하면 될 것 같습니다. 쉽지는 않지만 노력은 해야죠. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, you do see a lot of these like 부부끼리 문제 videos, TV shows, right? Where the couple is arguing and then they see themselves and then they realize, I was not behaving very well to you. I was very mean to you. It's easy because it's on television. In real life, though, you don't think, wait a minute, let me just get the camera out and record this. It wouldn't be very practical, right? Lee Kallinim as well messaging in saying, best way to win an argument is not to get into them in the first place. Discuss things. I nearly said that. Don't say that. I nearly said that out loud. A bad word. Discuss things before they become the problems. But easier said than done, of course. Yeah, I totally agree. Don't get into them in the first place, but easier said than done. We got Miok Selinim as well saying, I wish I'd learned these relationship tips when I was in school. It really helps and could apply to any kind of relationships, not just romantic ones. For sure. Oh, yeah, for sure. With a friend, with a partner, taking a step back and just not saying anything in anger would help a relationship. And it's great. Hopefully you can apply this to your platonic, your friend relationships as well. And your romantic relationships. They would, they'd cover a wide variety, a wide spectrum of different relationships. Great stuff. Thank you for your messages. We are at the end of Daily List, but coming up next is Me, Myself and I. We're going to take a song break. That is Can't Take That Away by McCoy. just listened to Can't Take That Away by McCoy, and now it is time for our next segment, Me, Myself and I. I will cover a couple of interesting things from the world of health, psychology and well-being. 소희님 said earlier when I mentioned that I study psychology, 와 멋지네요, 심리학 전공. Yeah, it is kind of, but I didn't take it any further. So I'm not an expert, like I said, so don't trust me. Trust the data that we have here, not me. And I will be a medium to convey that data. Also, Pornim joining the studio. 반갑습니다. Welcome to the show, my friend. And Lee Kelly-nim, it's okay. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. You're in talking to friend mode, not radio mode. So sometimes bad words slip out. Luckily, I have a pretty decent filter on my mouth as well. Today's topic for Me, Myself and I is related to today's text topic, which is kind of about marriage and what you think about marriage. It's, are married people happier than those who are not? Before I even start this, I know this is going to have such dividing opinions, right? There are people who are married who'll say, yeah, if you get married, your life becomes way happier. 결혼하면 훨씬 더 행복하게 살 수 있다라고 하시는 분도 계시고. And there are people who aren't married who will be like, no, don't get married. It just restricts you. Freedom. 자유가 없어지죠. There's lots of different opinions. Again, before I start, it's all personal stories. There are averages, though. And so we will look at some data and what the general majority thinks as well. You can't argue with that, can you? So, a happier life after getting married may not just be in fairy tales. It is apparently in the data too. Adults who are married report being far happier than those in any other relationship status, according to a Gallup poll published in February 2024. Any way that you analyze the data, they see a fairly large and notable advantage to being married in terms of how people evaluate their life, said poll author Jonathan Rothwell, who's a principal economist at Gallup. Now, from 2009 to 2023, more than 2.5 million adults in the United States were asked how they would rate their current life, with 0 being the worst possible rating, very bad life, or 10 being the highest. They're living their best life. Then the researchers asked respondents what they anticipated their happiness level would be in 5 years, so 5 years later. To be considered thriving, a person had to rank their current life as a 7 or higher and their anticipated future as an 8 or higher, according to study. Now, over the survey period, married people consistently reported their happiness levels higher than their unmarried counterparts, ranging from 12% to 24% higher depending on the year, according to the data. Now, the gap was there even when researchers adjusted the factors such as race, age, ethnicity, gender, education, the survey said. The gap was still present. Education is a strong predictor of happiness, but the data showed that married adults who did not attend high school evaluate their lives more favorably than unmarried adults with a graduate degree. Things like race and age and gender and education, they do matter, but marriage seems to matter more than those things when it comes to something like this measure of kind of living your best life, said Bradford Wilcox, who's a professor of sociology and director of the National Marriage Project at the University of Virginia. Now, Wilcox reviewed and edited the Gallup poll research. He says, we are social animals, and as Aristotle said, we are hardwired to connect. In this case, connecting as a partner, a spouse, is a good thing. But you can get your relationships from a multitude of areas. Your friends, your other family members, 친척들, lots of connections there. But this data showed that married people tend to be happier. Now, there is a difference, apparently, in how we are picking our partners. Maybe the happiness tied to marriage has something to do with what people expect from it, said Ian Kerner, a licensed marriage and family therapist and a relationships contributor. He says, in my practice over the last decade, I've noticed a gradual shift from the romantic marriage to the companionate marriage, meaning that people are increasingly choosing spouses at the outset who are more like best friends than passion partners. kind of said. So not just someone who's like a passionate lover, like lovey-dovey, 닭살, 꽁냥꽁냥. 그것보다 like a friend, like a best friend is, the relationships they're kind of looking for. And while doing so may lead to problems with attraction, you may choose someone who you're not physically as attracted to, it does mean that people are choosing partners based on qualities likely to promote long-term stability and satisfaction, he said, like agreeability, how kind they are they hard workers, ding, ding, ding. At a bare minimum, the concept of commitment implies the experience of being bonded with another. And at its very best, it means being bonded with someone who is a consistent, safe and secure home base that will be there for you in the face of any adversities. That was said by Dr. Monica O'Neill, a Boston psychologist. We're going to take a song break and then we'll be back with more interesting information for me, myself and I. We've got a song request by Mjoksteliinem. This is Paint by Love by Michael Learns to Rock.
From my
That was Paint My Love by Michael Learns to Rock, requested by Mjoksteliinem. Thank you very much for that wonderful ballad-style song. We've had a few of those today. Our song requests today have been quite ballady. I like it. Is this some kind of mood going on around the country right now? Maybe it is. I love it. Nonetheless, thank you very much. We are in the middle of Me, Myself and I. Soinim saying, wow, good information, thanks. I totally agree with the statement of the best friend thing. Yeah, I agree too. Your wife or your husband should definitely be like a best friend, and you're really lucky if that happens. Moving on, we've got another point here. A question. Do I need to get married to be happier? Big question. There's a lot we can learn from the data, but it's difficult to say whether marriage is the reason for higher levels of happiness, according to Rothwell. It could be that the people who have qualities that tend to lead to more consistent happiness are also those who would seek out marriage, the survey says. So it's not causal, it's correlational, right? I think that's the way to say it. There's also famously, for men anyway, a premium associated with being married in terms of earning higher income, according to Rothwell. There's lots of debate in the literature about whether that's because more successful, charming, intelligent men who have attributes that would lead them to earn more in the labor market are more likely to get married. Now remember, this is all quoted by Rothwell, don't quote me. It might annoy some people, this is just what the study said. The quality of marriages, however, can vary based on individual circumstances, societal changes, and the cultural outlook on marriage, he added as well. For example, in communities where marriage is often a practical necessity, the data shows a smaller effect on happiness than those where individuals feel more able to choose their status and partner. According to Rothwell, there are many cultures around the world where marriage is kind of forced and it's chosen by the parents. I mean, even in Korea not too long ago, there was a son, right? The parents would choose a partner, maybe someone they thought would be a good fit for their daughter, for example. And now, of course, that's changed a lot. I still do see suggestions from parents, but it's no longer forced. And I think, according to the data, that leads to higher levels of happiness as well. Well, this has been Me, Myself and I, a really interesting outlook on marriage and whether it makes you happier. My take on it, get married if you want to. I got married and I'm, happier than I've ever been, and even if you don't get married, that's not to say you won't be as happy as you'll ever be, right? It's all about your situation. And whether you get married or not, I wish you the happiest life, regardless. The time is now 3:44 in the afternoon. We're going to take a quick break and then we will go into a perfect playlist. This is 1, 2 and 3 by Galantis. just listened to 1, 2, and 3 by Galantis, and now it's time for Perfect Playlist, where we give you the perfect songs for the perfect situation. To answer 소희님's message, British invasion은 이제 끝났죠? 네, 끝났습니다. 죄송해요. if you want to listen to more British songs, I'm sure we'll play some in the future soon anyway, but we have a new theme this week, and this week's theme is songs about independence, right? 독립에 대한 노래들을 소개해드리겠습니다. Of course, because this week we have a very important holiday coming up, right? And we're going to introduce one song for this playlist, for this perfect playlist, and it's a classic. Anyone a fan of Bon Jovi? I'm sure there are lots of Bon Jovi fans. Now, this is the song It's My Life, one of their most famous tunes. In the process of living life independently, we have to ignore people telling us how to live our life. And that's what Bon Jovi is saying in It's My Life. In addition, we're responsible for our own lives. We're the ones who enjoy the fruits of our labor or who suffer from the consequences. People don't have the right to control us or to tell us what we should do. Now, the lyrics further encourage us to stand up for our beliefs and never back down. The time to live and enjoy life is now. So if you're ready for some really high-energy music to end a afternoon on a Monday, this is it. We're going to listen to It's My Life by Bon Jovi. It's My Life by Bon Jovi. That was our Song for Perfect playlist. This week it's themes of independence and lots of fans of this song. It's a great song. It's what I imagine teenagers often sing to their parents, right? It's my life. Don't tell me what to do. Great song, great song. Everyone loves it, including 미옥스텔리님 saying, I love that song. 소희님 saying, wow, 좋아요. It's a very, very good song indeed. Anangunim messaged in saying, speaking of perfect song for perfect situations, did you watch the gold medal beach volleyball match between Brazil and Canada? I didn't, but he tells us why it's notable. He said the two countries got into a heated argument and the DJ played Imagine, the John Lennon song, and got the whole crowd to join in singing. It was an epic humanizing moment. That DJ deserves a medal of his own. That sounds incredible. Nothing like a bit of Beatles or John Lennon to bring people together, right? I know everyone loves that song. I can imagine it, even if I haven't seen the video. I can imagine that happening. Everyone kind of holding arms and, singing Imagine. Great stuff. Thank you for that. I'm going to check it out on the internet in a little while. The time is now 3:54 in the afternoon. We do have to start wrapping things up. Before we do wrap up, I do want to read one last message from 전동기님 saying, hey, how you doing, Nick? So sad to hear that we can't hear your voice. I wish to see you hosting a regular program soon. Hopefully the broadcasting gods are listening. And if it's allowed, I want to request a song for my wife. Oh, I love this kind of stuff. Of course. What do you want to listen to? And he says, Interstate Love Song by Stone Temple Pilot. I am happy to get married to her. Have a lovely day. That's amazing. You know what? We cannot turn down a request in the name of love. So, for our last song, we're going to listen to Interstate Love Song by Stone Temple Pilots, requested by 전동기 님. And we're going to wrap things up. Everyone have a wonderful afternoon, and I'll see you tomorrow.